Hi, my name is Samuel Silbury. I am a solutions architect here at Nirmata, and today I'm going to show you how to create Kubernetes jobs, both the standard run to completion and the cron job, and I'm going to show you how to do it without building your own custom container. So one thing that our customers often ask me is, Sam, I have to run this script. It's not a complicated script. It just calls curl or, accesses an API, and I just need to run it on my cluster a couple of times or maybe at certain times. Do I have to build a container, stick my script in that, put some YAML around it, and then run it in the cluster? The answer is no. It's pretty easy to run a script in Kubernetes without using a custom container. And I'm going to show you how to do it with just a standard container and a config map. So we're going to go over here to the catalog and we'll add an application. We'll call this Sam's demo script. And, oh, that's right, we have to tell it it's catalog now. All right, so now we're here in the basic menu. You've got your standard workloads, deployments, stateful sets, daemon sets. You're probably going to be mostly using the deployments. But we also have the short-lived workloads like jobs and cron jobs. I'm going to show you how to set up an initial cron job, and then we're going to do the rest of the demo with a job because it's much easier to demo a job than it is to demo a cron job. But there are some important differences with cron jobs. So we'll just call this cron. You can change concurrency policy. Allow simply says, if say I'm running my cron job every 10 minutes and I've set it to allow, it'll allow it to run another job concurrently with it. If I select forbid, it will not run a new job until the last job is completed. If I select replace, it's going to kill off the currently running job and run a new job. We can change the failed history limit. I like to set it to something like 3. So this is just going to tell Kubernetes to keep the container around so that you can look at the logs and whatnot. Scheduling is pure cron scheduling. If you don't know cron scheduling, just look it up online. There are a lot of great resources to show you how to do that. Successful job history limit is just like the failed jobs. It's going to keep the container around so that you can pull logs off of it. If you click on suspend, it's going to create the cron object suspended. And then you just give it a container and give it something like bash. And we don't need any annotations. So this cron job's not actually going to do anything. Bash is going to come up and it's going to go, you didn't tell me to do anything, and it's going to exit. But we're going to do the same basic job here, but as a run to completion job. So we'll just call it job. And let's say we want to do 3 completions. We don't want to let more than one run at once. We're not going to change the active deadline. Backup limit just means how many times we can fail before we decide to, wait for users to figure out what's going on. So container, again, we're just going to use the bash container. There's no need for any ports or annotations or anything like that. Now, again, if I run this job, it's just going to run like 6 times and fail. So if we want to be able to run a script with this without having to customize a container, what we need to do is go over here to config and storage, say add a container, add a config map, and we're going to just call this config map script. And we're going to add an item. The key will be run.sh. The value here, let's just echo hi, and then let's wget down. Let me grab a Git repo here. hold on a sec. Yeah, so we can just grab, I actually don't think they have Git installed, so we're just gonna grab a file, a raw file, and then once that's done, we'll do an ls-l to see what we've got, and then we'll say bye. So the thing to remember here is your config map name is script. So when we mount this as a volume, this is going to be the volume we're mounting. Once we're in the directory, every key we put in that directory is going to be a file. So in this case, my key is run.sh. It's going to create a file run.sh with these contents. And we don't need to do any labels or annotations or anything like that. So we go back to our workloads. So we have our job here. We come down to our container. Well, first probably we need to add our volume. So let's just be consistent, call this script. Type is going to be config map. I don't really care about my default mode because I'm going to execute it without needing execute bits, which I highly advise. Then we say add. So now we need to come in here to containers, and we only have one container here. So in our bash container, this is all good. But if we go over here to run command, we're going to say bash. And then over here in arguments, we're going to, we changed the name of it here, didn't we? So let's go back. So it's run.sh. So we need to remember that. So we go back to workloads, containers. Okay, so my argument is going to be /script run.sh. So we're going to run bash with an argument of script run.sh. Don't try to put multiple items in here. Always add an item. Otherwise, you're going to have a bit of unpredictable behavior. It's probably going to, bash will do something like it thinks you have multiple, you have one string. Instead of having multiple strings, you have one string with a space in it. Okay, so we need to mount our volume. So we only have one volume available, that's script. Mount path is going to be /script. I don't really need to do anything else here. All right, so we have our volume mount on /script. We're going to run script run.sh. The key that's going to be in that directory is run.sh. All right, I think we're good to go. So let's see. Yeah, let's just drop it in here. So you can see we've created the cron job here. It's not time for the cron to execute. So it's just not going to execute for another, 30 minutes. The job here has executed. All three of them have executed. Now remember, we set it to run each one of these individually, although they happen really, really quickly. And then once they're run, this job is done. It's run its 3 jobs. And you can see its state is terminated. We can view our logs here. And we can see, here's the hi we echoed. Here's us grabbing that file. We did an ls. You can see we dropped our file into the base directory here, and we echoed bye. Now, keep in mind the bash container I'm using here is a fairly limited container. I don't think it has things like curl and stuff like that, but you can use any pre-existing container. There are some fairly full-fledged Debian and Ubuntu and CentOS containers out there. There are, some net test containers that have, a lot of networking things in it. So this is a really good way of, if you just need to run a script inside your cluster and you don't know how to do it, or if you need to periodically run a script to clean something up or to make an API call, and if the API call fails, make another API call to, send you a Slack alert or something like that. And this is how you create jobs. Probably the cron jobs are going to be more useful, but if you follow this example and just do what I did in the job in your cron job on Nirmata, you'll have pretty much the same effect, except it'll be scheduled every, so many whatevers. In this case, I think I'm scheduling it every hour. Alrighty. Well, we will see you again later.